I'm here in my house looking at a photo of Bahram Gur fights the Karg, a folio from the manuscript of a great Ilkhanid Shahnameh, which was originally an epic made by Ferdowsi around 1000 CE. The piece itself originates from the Ilkhanid state in current-day Tabriz, Iran, from around 1330 to 1340, but upon first glance, one must wonder how the artwork survives to this day, given the iconoclasm spread throughout the Middle East around this time. This is a great question to pose, for answering it unlocks a treasure trove of history and other elements. Observing this piece, we see a mix of different influences: Arabic calligraphy flanking the top and bottom of the artwork, a European-inspired nimbus encircling an important figure's head, and East Asian-looking vegetation. In addition, we have to note the sumptuousness of the piece. While the painting is made of opaque watercolor, we can also see silver and gold highlights in the image as well as in the calligraphy. Given that silver and gold have always been considerably valuable, we can guess that this belonged to a wealthy or powerful person, and this is the case. Kings, princes, and other powerful and rich people would have owned something like this. As for this manuscript, we aren't completely sure, but most likely a court vizier might have owned it. Yet a salient point still remains: why does it depict man? Well, in 1256 the Mongols invaded the Middle East and soon after established the Ilkhanid state, and with this came a shift in the Middle East culture. It was now acceptable and even encouraged to own pieces such as this, as long as the owner consumed it privately, either for religious or secular purposes. For this text, the Shahnameh was a guide, a teaching tool of sorts. By reading and memorizing this story, one could identify and even emulate the practices of the kings of Persia. In fact, the Mongols themselves also respected Persian culture, for much like their nomadic culture, the Persians also valued hunting, feasting, courtship, and so on. Because of this, the Mongols wanted to identify with past Persian rulers, thereby popularizing this epic. As a result, today we see the Shahnameh being taught in Iranian schools, and knowing the text, much like knowing the Bible for Christians, is a sign of pride and patriotism for the country. Now, because of the Mongols' nomadic origins, the entire empire as well as the Ilkhanid state encouraged herding and horsemanship. Given also the vast expanse of the empire, traveling and trading on horseback became popular, necessitating something light and small, so as to not burden the horse when traveling from point A to point B. Manuscripts such as the Great Mongol Shahnameh became an ideal medium to fit this need. Now that we have some background of the artwork, it's really interesting to just take a step back and appreciate all the history that came together to form this artwork. We see how the free-flowing traditions of Chinese art portray the symmetricality seen so much in other Islamic works. For instance, we see the gnarled and twisted trees, overlapping forms, and a rapidly brushed foreground, all of which are in stark contrast to art such as the Ardabil carpet. Examples such as this grant vitality and movement to the work, and as a result we see the king Bahram Gur in media res almost jump out of a frame. Besides that, we also observe the preservation and local influences. For example, we see in the image the king in horseback over a decapitated monster, and this harkens back to the Persian practice of depicting a king over one slain enemy. However, before this, according to the Shahnameh, the story started out with Shangal, an Indian king, asking Bahram Gur to slaughter the Karg, a monster both part wolf and rhinoceros, which was terrorizing the local countryside. Bahram Gur accepted the task and traveled with his men to the monster's domain. Upon surveying the lair, the king's men implored the king to turn back, stating that killing such a savage creature is beyond any man's courage. However, Bahram Gur charged in anyway, first using arrows from a distance, and then his sword to finish off and decapitate the beast, so as to present it as a trophy to Shangal. In the artwork, we see the same heroism in Bahram Gur as he has in the story. He wears a golden crown and fine clothing, but also has a mace, bow, sword, and leopard skin on his person. All of these allude to the king's quality as both a ruler and a warrior. Through this, the Shahnameh thus becomes a tool for teaching courage and ethics.